Sacramento Kings are currently the 8th seed, and after a tumultuous season filled with injuries, inconsistent play, inconceivable disrespect from the NBA media, with 4 games left, the Kings still have a shot at avoiding the play-in tournament and securing a coveted top 6 seed in one of the toughest Western conferences in recent memory. The Kings essentially need to win out if they have any hope at getting the 6th seed, but it is much more complicated than that because they would obviously have to jump both the Pelicans and the Suns in order to accomplish that feat. Luckily, the Kings play both of these teams in back to back nights later this week, so they do have a little bit of control on this otherwise out of control roller coaster ride that is the Western Conference. Now, the Suns do currently hold the 6th seed. However, assuming we beat them, which I'm not actually assuming because I know better than to assume anything with this Kings team. I'm just saying I already established that we need to go 4-0. So obviously in order to do that, we'd have to beat the Suns. So, assuming we beat them and assuming we win our other 3 games, big assumption by the way, that's all that needs to happen for us to jump the Suns because we would then hold the tiebreaker over them. The tricky part in getting the 6th seed is the Pelicans. If we go 4-0 in these last 4 games, big if, the Pelicans cannot finish any better than 2-2, or else the Pels would finish above us because they hold the tiebreaker. But like I mentioned, we do play the Pelicans as well as the Suns, but even if we beat the Pels, we would need them to lose to either the Blazers, Lakers, or Warriors. So, the Kings need to finish 4-0, and the Pelicans cannot finish any better than 2-2. If the Kings finish the season 4-0, they'd actually be finishing the season 5-0 because they won on Sunday in Brooklyn. That would be a 5-game win streak, something they have not accomplished since November. Can they do it? Maybe. Wouldn't bet on it. But if you're asking me what I think the odds are they get the 6th seed, I'd give them like a 20% chance, which is actually 1% better than what playoffstatus.com gives them. Playoffstatus.com is a website that I haven't stumbled upon since that year the Kings finished as the 9th seed, the scores team. But I was watching the Kenny Beecham podcast, shout out Kenny B, and he brought it up, and I was like, oh shit, I forgot about this. So yeah, here it is in all its glory. It's not the most aesthetically pleasing website, and I was afraid that if I didn't preface this with a Kenny Beecham testimonial, y'all might think I made this shit myself. But no, it is legit. But as you can see, PlayoffStatus.com says the team most likely to secure the 6th seed is the New Orleans Pelicans, who have a 49% chance. The Kings have a 19% chance of getting the 6th seed. They also, according to this, have an equal chance of getting the 7th seed as they do the 8th seed. The Suns also find themselves in the same statistical predicament. However, their chances of getting those seeds are lower than the Kings. But at the same time, their most likely outcome is getting one of the 7 or 8 seed. A little confusing, but to summarize, the Pelicans are most likely getting the 6th seed with a 49% chance. The next best odds at getting the 6th seed are the Suns at 25%, then the Kings at 19%. After that, things get a little tricky because the most likely suitor for the 7th seed is the Kings, and the most likely suitor for the 8th seed is the Kings. But the Suns' most likely outcome is the 7 or 8 seed. They're just less likely to get those seeds than the Kings. So, I think, according to these calculations, the most likely outcome is the Pelicans get the 6th seed, the Kings get the 7th seed, and the Suns get the 8th seed. But a lot can happen, especially considering we play both the Suns and the Pelicans on back-to-back nights, like I've mentioned a couple times already. And I haven't mentioned this yet, but I'm sure most of you are aware, the Lakers are right on our back. However, if we go 4-0 or even 3-1, they cannot jump us because we finished the season 4-0 against them. Probably our biggest accomplishment of the year. Is that a little sad? Sure, but I don't care. Fuck the Lakers. So yeah, very important we finish the year strong. Even if we don't get the 6th seed, which as you can see, a lot would have to go our way in order for that to happen, I think getting the 7th seed is a decent consolation prize. We get 2 shots to make the playoffs at home. The matchups we get are essentially the same, regardless if we finish as the 6th, 7, or 8 seed, because the 1, 2, and 3 seed are still up for grabs. Regardless of how you feel about certain potential playoff or even play-in matchups, I think we can all agree that we do not want to play the Nuggets in round 1. But say they finish as the 2 seed. What do? Throw the first play-in game to avoid them? No, of course not. But also, say we do go 4-0, the season ends perfectly for us, we get the 6th seed, but then the Nuggets somehow fall to the 3 seed. Well, damn, we should have went to the play-in after all. I don't know, man. It's kind of a shitty position any way you look at it. And it really makes you look back at all those terrible losses throughout the year. And, you really wish you had some of those back because then we'd have a pretty big cushion to at least get like a top 5 seed, if not even better than that. But back to kind of what Mike Brown was saying at the beginning of the season, it's easier to go from bad to good than it is to go from good to great. And I think the thing, I mean, there's a lot of things, but the main thing that separates great teams from good teams is playing consistent basketball and beating the teams that you should beat. And while I think the Canes, at their best can compete with anybody, the inconsistency and the habit of not showing up for some of the bottom teams in the league is what's keeping them from ascending to that next tier and becoming a great team. But those things take time. We're only in year 2. All you can do at this point, if you're the Canes, is beat the team in front of you and hope Malik Monk is all healed and ready to go by next week, which, you know, 99% chance that's not happening. But if the Kings do finish 4-0, I think I'd be pretty confident, or at least like relatively confident in this team, regardless of where they finish in the standings, because they would be heading into the playoffs or playing on a hot streak. And if they did have to play the Pelicans or the Suns in a one-game playoff, the team would presumably have a little more confidence, seeing as we just beat them both like less than a week ago. So, finish the season 4-0 so that I can feel confident about this team, even if the confidence is a little misguided. We got a big game against the Thunder and OKC tonight. I'll most likely have a post-game reaction coming out shortly after the game, maybe tomorrow. That's usually how things go on this channel. But within the next 24 hours, let's call it that, huh? Deal? Okay, well, go Kings, light the beam.